Hi, my name is Jean Marie Moffa, and I'm the owner of Great Cakes, which is a boutique higher-end bakery based in a licensed kitchen in my home in Brighton, Michigan. I have been decorating cakes for about 10 years. Actually, when I first started learning about decorating cakes was when Kevin O'Reilly was starting this company, and we've had a long relationship over the years, getting to know each other's, his product, my skills, and it's been a great journey. I do represent Satin Ice. I travel in the United States and Canada teaching bakers in the industry how to master the skills of working with fondant. I feel that the techniques that I can share with you today will be really applicable to anyone from the baking industry to those of you who are simply just dying to learn more about using fondant at home. I'd like to start today by showing you how to knead fondant well. I think in the meetings that I've had with a lot of bakers who actually do currently work with fondant, there's been some confusion about some of the simple steps that I can just demystify for them, demystify for you, so that you start from the beginning knowing just how to do it right. So first thing that we want to talk about is kneading, which I think is probably the single most important thing you could ever do when you work with rolled fondant. Fondant, as you know, comes in all sorts of packaging, different sorts of containers now, including retail packs that will be out that are in the supermarkets. But in any event, your job is to keep fondant as airtight as you can when you store it, and to knead it well when you use it. Now, when you cut your fondant off, use a nice sharp knife is best. Be very aware not to cut this plastic. I can't tell you how easy that is to do, and if you cut this plastic, then you will be getting air into your fondant. Also be aware that if you are working on a non-stick surface, which I am, and I do recommend, you don't want to slice into that. So be really just aware of those things as you get your fondant from the pail or the pack. Now, this is an ivory fondant. Notice, by the way, when I'm done using it, I immediately take the air out, twist it. It's just second nature. It may not go back in the pail right away, but it's certainly been protected from air. So back to the kneading. When you first get your fondant out of the pail or package, you'll notice that it has sort of a mottled effect, and that it almost looks kind of like a cheese of some sort. What you want to do when you first get it out is to start kneading it. And what you're doing when you knead it is you're activating the gums in the fondant. And it's the gums that make the fondant elastic and give it so many amazing properties in terms of the things you can form it into and how you would work with it. Now, I use cornstarch. Some people use powdered sugar. Some people use shortening. It's totally up to you. Just be aware that you don't want to use the cornstarch or the powdered sugar or the shortening, for that matter, to introduce a lot of product into the fondant. You want to use it to enhance your working with it. So in this case, I'm using a little bit of cornstarch so that I don't stick. And how much is enough? Just enough. I'm working in a very humid environment today, so you will see me use more cornstarch than perhaps you might ever need to use. If you're working in a dry environment, you might not need to use much at all. So I start to knead the product, adding cornstarch when I feel a slight tackiness or stick. And when you look at the fondant and you wonder how much is enough kneading, when do I stop, you really don't have to worry about kneading it too much. You're not going to ruin anything. But out of the package, like I said, you can see that it sort of breaks. And when it's been kneaded, even just a little piece like this, it'll start to get very elastic. And you'll start to see how that elasticity kicks in. And those are the gums working for you. And that's what you want. I sometimes hear from bakers that their fondant cracks on the edges of a cake that they've been decorating. And I can tell you that 99% of the time, the reason that happens for them is they miss this step. So if you're kneading the fondant well, and it becomes very elastic, very smooth, and were you able to touch it right now, you would find it to be silky smooth. very soft. This step alone will help you immeasurably in when you roll out your fondant.